Good morning. My name is Samantha Turner, and I am the Workforce Development Coordinator for the Midlands Education and Business Alliance. It is with great excitement that I welcome you to MIBA's first ever webinar series, Ready, Set, Connect. Today's webinar is about interviewing and what not to do. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to MIBA business partner, Chappelle Broome. Ms. Broome is Director of Human Resources at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. She is here today to share her experience gained from interviewing hundreds of candidates each year for careers at the airport. If you have questions for Ms. Broome, please submit your questions by using the chat box at the bottom of the taskbar. If time permits, we will respond to those questions at the end of the webinar. It is with great pleasure that I now present you to Chappelle Broome.
Well, good morning. I am very happy to be here this morning to talk about one of my favorite things, what not to do when you're interviewing. One thing I always get, the first question is, show me the money. Well, jobs at the airport start at $10 an hour for interns and goes to over $100,000 a year. So that's a wide ranges of pay and interviewing that we do there. So let's go with some interviewing do's and don'ts. The very first thing and the most important thing is dressing for success. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression, one opportunity to make a first impression. So regardless of what position you are applying for, unless you were instructed to do so beforehand, wear a suit. Invest in a nice dark navy or black suit, ladies and gentlemen. You can always change out the blouse or the shirt. Call it your interview suit. Put a tag in your closet and say, this is my interview suit. Because remember, an interview is a professional meeting, and those first impressions are priceless and lasting. And one last thing, you never know who's in that interview when you make that first impression. Sometimes my boss, who runs the airport, has been in interviews and nobody knew that was him. So invest in that dark suit. Here's some don'ts. I can't wear that. No. No throwbacks or tanks. No shorts, jeans, or capris. Ladies, please no midriffs, tube tops, or low-cut blouses. No jogging suits, and no sagging pants. If you need a belt, wear a belt. Unless you plan to be an underwear model, we don't need to see your briefs. Please wear a belt coming into an interview. As Will Smith says at the bottom, you only have one opportunity to make a first impression. My shoes matter? Yes, your shoes matter. Grooming from the top to the bottom. No sneakers, tennis shoes, sandals, or flip-flops. Socks and hosieries are a plus. Gentlemen, button up your shirt. I don't care to or need to count your chest hairs. Remember, these are actually things that happen in interviews I've seen. Ties are always a plus. I don't need to see your thong at any time. We were interviewing for an officer one time, and the young lady had an impeccable resume, but we saw her white thongs during the whole interview time. She did not get the job. You don't want to let something that simple stop you from getting a position. Remember, you only have one opportunity to make a first impression. Hair matters. Yeah, hair does matter. A nice conservative style always works. You don't want your hair to be a distraction. No hats. Do not wear a hat in the interview room. If you wear a hat to the meeting, please take it off before you come into the interview room so you can rearrange your hair before the interview starts. I can't tell the numerous times folks have been playing with their hair to make sure their hair look good instead of paying attention to the interview. Tip, unless you're applying to be Santa Claus, no wild hair, no hat, no long beard in the interview. Minimize your jewelry and smells. Remember, this is a professional meeting. For this short period of time, please remove your tongue ring, your nose ring, your eyebrow ring, and any facial jewelry. Or during most of the interviews, we're going to be wondering, ooh, did that hurt? Ladies, if you have 8 holes in each ear, try to limit it to 1 earring for that interview. And men, I'm sorry, earrings are just not a good idea for the interview. But you feel free. You can put your earrings back on right after you leave the interview. No sunglasses in the interview, not on your eyes or on your head or sticking out your pocket. These are small things, but you don't want them to stop you from getting a job. You may have color-coded your bangles. And I've seen women come in there with all matching bangles. But if those bangles keep making that noise, we start rapping the beat and we're not conducting an interview. Make sure the smell of alcohol, tobacco is not on your body, and please don't overdo the cologne or the perfume. Once again, these tips may seem minor, but you want the interview to focus on you and not your body, armor, or cologne. Think about this, 10 candidates for one job. You could be the best candidate for the job, but we couldn't finish the interview because you was knocking us out with your new cologne. Body art and tattoos. Cover your tattoos in the interview process, but be honest if they ask you, and be honest and admit that you have tattoos. We recently hired someone who started work this week with tattoos. We just told him that the tattoos could not be visible while he's at work, so he will be wearing a lot of long sleeve shirts in the summer, but just be honest, and he was honest about the tattoos. Be early, be early, be early. This is the #1 reason why folks do not get interviewed. Be early. Not too early. 15 to 20 minutes is good. An hour is an overkill. Know exactly where you're going for the interview. Do a dry run the day before so you can check out parking and any other obstacles that could be a delay. The common thought, if you are late for an interview, you will be late for work. Oh my, what time is it? If you're running late for a legitimate reason, then please call and let someone know. These are reasons I've heard in the past, and these folks did not get interviewed. Don't call and say, Ms. Broome, I got lost. Oh, Ms. Broome, I forgot I was supposed to go where I was supposed to go, and just when I walked out the house, I forgot my cell phone, and you know I can't live without my cell phone, so I had to go back and get it. Or I did not have enough gas, so I had to stop and get gas at the service station. Or my favorite one, I had to give my dog his medicine, so I'm running late. Not acceptable. None of those folks were interviewed. Come along to the interview room. Do not bring your parents, your children, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend, your significant other, your dog, or your cat. I've had people bring all of those things to an interview, including a dog or cat. The same lady who wanted to give her dog her medicine brought him to the interview. She did not get an interview. The interview is an important professional meeting. Tip, if you have to get a ride, and we all do sometimes, please just ask them to wait discreetly somewhere else. Greet the front desk person. Be polite to everyone, but especially that person at reception. He or she is the introduction to that company, and her opinion, his or her opinion, is valued. Numerous times folks have said that people were so not courteous to that front desk person, and that plays in your selection. A tip, know the name of the person you're interviewed with. I don't know how people do not know who they interviewed with. I've been called Chappelle Broome, Miss Chappelle Broome. Know the name of the person you're interviewing with. That shows how engaged you are in the process. Resume. You should have a resume starting at the 10th grade. That resume should change as your jobs and your skills change. Your beginning resume may just say this is your name, where you live, where you go to school at, and what your volunteer things are. But start your resume in the 10th grade. Your resume should be one sheet, clean, sharp, highlighting your strengths, career-wise and education-wise. When you come to interviews, bring extra copies of your resume. You never know how many people are in there. The worst thing you can do, the most unprofessional thing you can do is say, hey, make me some extra copies of my resume so I can pass some out to y'all, and hey, and I can take them to my next job. Not a good look. Your resume and hand should reflect the job you're interviewing for. Do not give a resume stating you're looking for a sales job in an interview for a police officer. These are little things, but so important. Interview time, okay, you're here. Smile. You're happy to be in the interview, aren't you? A simple smile brightens up your presence and immediately makes an impression. Smile. A smile will take you so far. Do make sure your cell phone is off. Even vibrate can be noisy in a quiet room, especially if you're popular and get a lot of calls, texts, and social media updates. Wobble. There was a gentleman we were interviewing for like a $12 and something maintenance job. Every time, about 3 times in a row, his phone rang the wobble song. Finally, I start singing, "Big girls, won't you back it up? Won't you back it up?" He was startled that we could hear his cell phone. He lost an opportunity for a $12 an hour job because he could not turn off the big girls backing it off for 30 minutes. If you're not the president of the United States or the Pope, I don't think you need to have your cell phone on. You can turn your cell phone off for 30 minutes. Remove any Bluetooth accessories or earpiece. Don't chew gum, tobacco, or mints. Important, a firm handshake at the beginning of the interview and a firm handshake at the end of the interview. And shake hands with everyone in that interview room. Body talk, make my body talk. Your body language is so important. Sit upright in the interview. Don't slump. Be cognizant of scratching or distracting behavior. If you're nervous and have a tendency to sweat, admit that. Make eye contact. Studies have shown that people believe if you're looking them in the eye, you're telling the truth. So think about that. Think how hard it is to look someone in the eye and lie. Try it. So make eye contact with every person in that room as you ask questions. Do know what position you're interviewing for, especially if you're going on a series of interviews. I need to do what? You need to know something about the companies. Almost every company in America can now be found online. This summer, when we were looking for summer internships, we interviewed probably 20-some folks, high school and college, for our internships, for internship position. There was a young man who applied, a high school student who had applied for a marketing intern. This young man had went to our website, went to our Facebook page, followed us on Twitter. He knew more about the airport than some of us in that interview room. He got the job over some college students from USC, Clemson. He was selected for that position because he knew something about our company, and he realized he wanted to be a marketing intern and what he needed to do. Do believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? Say what? Be honest. Don't lie. Don't over-answer. Don't under-answer. If you don't know, say you don't know it. Don't try to make up something. Do not share too much of your personal information, especially the negatives. Don't tell us about your cousin on the run from the law, or the time you whacked a coworker with a steel rod, or that you just beat up your boyfriend's other girlfriend. Leave your drama at home. Remember, you're there to sell yourself and get that job. These are little things, but remember, 10 people, one job. What's going to set you apart? You surely don't want to set yourself apart by being the person who whacked your coworker. In the interview, it's really all about you. We always think it's about us anyway, but this is one time when it really is all about you. You want to tell us who you are and why we should hire you for our organization. Talk so you can be heard. Don't talk too loud. Don't talk too soft. Answer questions regarding your strengths and weaknesses. This is a biggie. Always ask a question. When the interviewer asks, "So, do you have any questions for us?" never say no. Always have a question. Tip, a good question is, so what are you looking for in that person you plan to hire for this position? You must ask the question because that tells us you are engaged, you are interested. When you don't ask the question, we just think you don't really care. Always, always ask the question. Before you leave, do say you want this job. Do ask for business cards. Business cards, as you begin your career, whether college, high school, business cards are connection. These are people you can refer back to if you are looking for something else. Keep those business cards. Ask for business cards. After the interview or that's over, send thank you notes or emails. Never, ever leave a negative impression, even if you are not selected for this position. You may always answer in a professional manner by phone or email for any instructions that could help you in future interviews. You never, ever want to shut the door on future possibilities. At our airport, we may select someone as our number one candidate, and maybe that person does not pass a background check or a drug test. Then we will go to the number two person. But if you have sent us a nasty email telling us we could have upgraded our company by hiring you, or you're cussing us all out, then that knocks you out that number two spot, and we're going to number three. Don't ever burn a bridge you may need to cross again on the road to your success. Something to think about. And another thing, just a few tips. Complete an application in full. An uncompleted application is not considered an application at all. Use spell check. If it's a paper application, write legibly. If we can't read your writing, that stops you right there at the process. Please let family members know you may get phone calls from prospective employers. Several weeks ago, I was calling for an interview, and the lady answered the phone and said, "Jim, you mean my nephew Jim? It's about time that boy started looking for a job. I don't see him that much, but you know what? When I see him, I'll tell him you had called." Do you know by the time he got that message, we had finished the interview process? So make sure you let family members know. Make sure to give an alternative number if you may have cell phone issues. Turn off those ringback tones while you're out looking for a job. We hate to sit on hold listening to my anaconda, what? My anaconda, who? We really don't want to sit listening to that while we're waiting for you to answer the phone. Woohoo! You got the job. Okay, you got the job, and now it's time to go to work. The number one reason folks lose their jobs in the first 6 months is because they do not show up. They either show up tardy for work or they call in too much. So show up. Show up on the job, show up to work, show up for the work. Read the manual, the handbook, get to know the company. Do not be afraid to humble yourself. If you are the street sweeper, be the best street sweeper you can be. You know why? Because you'll never know who's watching and what opportunities can be presented to you as you do your best. You just never know. My favorite part of everything is don't ever despise small beginnings. Sometimes the job you interview for or the job you want is not the job you are selected for. But don't turn down a job on your career path simply because you think it is beneath you. Never, ever, ever, ever despise small beginnings. It could be the open door to the career of your dream. We all start somewhere on that climb to the top of our careers. If it's not immoral or illegal, never say it is not my job. Everything you do in your work life is an opportunity. Every new skill is a learning process and makes you more valuable. We have a question we ask all our interns when we're interviewing them for the summer jobs. Remember, our internships pay $10 an hour. The question we ask all interns is, if I need to send you to Bi-Lo to pick me up some cookies, what would you say? Last year, I had a gentleman who said, "Ms. Broome, I would ask you why you obviously wanted me to do something that's not on the job description." Wrong answer. When he did not get the internship, I offered to take him for lunch to explain that to him. He told me later, "I knew when I was leaving that cookie question was important." That cookie question was important because it lent itself to you being a team player. If we asked you to go get cookies, we're going to pay you for the cookies. We're going to pay for your gas to go get the cookies. We just want to see that you're a team player. So if it's not immoral or illegal, never say it's not my job. Lastly, never stop learning. Read books, read newspapers, review media on the internet, join groups related to your profession, take courses, go to training, network, get an associate's, a bachelor's, a graduate degree, attain certification, volunteer, have a servant spirit, be humble, prepare, prepare, prepare. Be prepared for that opportunity of a lifetime, in the lifetime of that opportunity. Be prepared. What did she just say?
Thank you, Chappelle Broome, for facilitating this most important webinar for our educators, students, and parents. Thank you for attending our Ready, Set, Connect webinar series. Please join us again on Thursday, November 20th, 2014 at 9 o'clock a.m. Tom Ledbetter with Midlands Technical College will be presenting on the cost of your living. This webinar is for high school students, and this will help them to consider their career choices and question will it support the lifestyle that they would like to live. We look forward to connecting with you on November 20th. Thank you, and thank you again, Chappelle Broome and the Columbia Metropolitan Airport for your partnership and all you do for our students, educators, and parents here in the Midlands. Thank you.
And thank you all for your attention to this morning.